For decades, scientists and environmental activists have warned about impending climate change doomsdays, from the planet freezing over to melting ice caps, floods, fires, storms, and famine. And I saw a video of children trying to confront Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein about these warnings, probably because the adults around them have instilled them with this climate change hysteria. They were trying to encourage Feinstein to consider Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal because of her claims that we are doomed if we don't tackle climate change within the next 12 years.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years. What we can do,
Senator, if this doesn't get turned
ourselves
around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these consequences. I'm 24.
It doesn't matter. We're the ones who are going to be impacted.
something.
It doesn't matter. We're going to be the ones who are impacted.
I understand that. I have 7 grandchildren.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now even saying that it is legitimate for people to not want to have children because of climate change. But as I said, this kind of fear-mongering isn't even new. World leaders met at the Vatican in 2015, where Pope Francis said this would be the last opportunity to negotiate climate change. The world should take note that the climate summit in Paris later this year may be the last effective opportunity to negotiate arrangements that keep human-induced warming below 2 degrees Celsius. That Paris climate summit happened in December of 2015, and the funny thing is, back in May 2014, the French foreign minister had declared that there were only 500 days to avoid climate chaos. Then the Paris summit took place as scheduled anyway, 65 days after his doomsday prediction. If there's no action before 2012, that's too late, said a scientist and economist who heads the IPCC. What we do in the next 2 to 3 years will determine our future. This is the defining moment. Tim Wirth said 2012 is Obama's last window of opportunity to get it right on climate change. Prince Charles even famously warned that humanity had only 96 months to save the world from irretrievable climate and ecosystem collapse, and all that goes with it in July 2009. Well, it's been past the deadline, and he hasn't updated us on when the world will end and when exactly we need saving. World leaders in Copenhagen, Denmark said in 2009 that there are only hours to prevent climate disaster. That's right, hours. Only hours. And here we are 10 years later. In 2009, also, Gordon Brown has warned the UK faces a catastrophe of floods, droughts, and killer heat waves if world leaders fail to agree on a deal on climate change. He addressed the Major Economies Forum in London, which brings together 17 of the world's biggest greenhouse gas-emitting countries, where he said there was no plan B if agreement was not reached at December's UN summit in Copenhagen. Negotiators have 50 days to save the world from global warming, he added. In 2002, in an article called Why Vegans Were Right All Along, it was said that within as little as 10 years, the world will be faced with a choice. Arable farming either continues to feed the world's animals or continues to feed the world's people. It cannot do both. And in 1989, a senior UN environmental official says entire nations would be wiped off the face of the earth by rising sea levels if the global warming trend is not reversed by the year 2000. And in the 60s and 70s, Paul Ehrlich, in a 1969 essay titled Ecotastrophe, said by 1979, some experts feel that food shortages will have escalated the present level of world hunger and starvation into famines of unbelievable proportions. Other experts, more optimistic, think the ultimate food population collision will not occur until the decade of the 1980s. Ehrlich said that between 1980 and 1989, some 4 billion people, including 65 million Americans, would perish in the Great Die-Off. So alarmists have been saying this for decades, and they keep sounding the same alarm. Now, listen, I'm not saying that we shouldn't care for the environment, but what I am saying is that we should not listen to these climate doomsdayers so that they can pass bills on their fear tactics. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is playing the same game. But what will she say when 12 years go by? If you want to see more from me and the rest of the Rebel team, like and subscribe.